Ink Ribbon. So, Resident Evil 5 is considered by most fans to be the real turning point to where their series began to lose itself and fall apart. People are going to argue regardless, but I think for the most part I agree with that statement. When I started researching this video, I remembered that I had my Resident Evil 5 art book, so I thought I'd go through it and see what I could find for you guys. Well, I'm sorry to say that after seeing everything that was cut from the game, I'm kind of angry. From what I found, it sounded like Resident Evil 5 was going to be amazing, but they shot themselves in the foot. But I'm going to save all that for the number 1 spot. Let's keep it light and fun, for now. Here is my list of the top 10 secrets and Easter eggs in Resident Evil 5.
Number 10.
Dead Rising references. There are a surprising number of references to Capcom's Dead Rising series. In chapters 1-1 and 2-1, you can see a Keniston Express sign, which is the photo development store in Dead Rising. Also in 2-1 is a poster for an album by Paula Hopkins, which can be found in the music stores in Dead Rising. A few other small nods are a list of victims with the names Frank and Isabella on it, as well as a newspaper called the Willamette Park Journal. Willamette being the name of the town and the mall that became overrun by zombies in Dead Rising.
Number 9.
Unused Dialogue. In the data files there is a lot of unused audio, mainly for extra modes most likely, but there are a few noteworthy ones. First, there's Jill addressing that Chris likes younger women and teasing him about it.
I guess I am getting older.
You're not the only one.
That reminds me. I heard you and that girl in the tech department were getting kinda friendly. I didn't know you liked them so young.
Hold on, I don't like them young. I just think that when you have good chemistry with someone, age shouldn't be an issue, right?
I suppose.
There's also one where Jill asks about Josh's relationship to Sheva.
You and Sheva must be close.
What makes you say that?
You seem to be particularly worried about her.
It's not what you think. She's like my little sister.
And there's also a clip where it's implied that Wesker didn't infect himself with Ouroboros.
Only those with superior DNA will be chosen by Ouroboros. So now, I have to separate this chaff from the wheat. And with Ouroboros, I can finally accomplish this. You bitch!
Number 8.
Wesker. Wesker seems to have a few noteworthy changes made to him throughout production. His original designs show him wearing an outfit very similar to his outfit in Code Veronica, but was later changed to a carbon fiber material, which not only looks cool, but is also able to deflect shrapnel. While he never actually uses it in the game, Wesker does still carry his samurai edge. In the original script, when Jill tackles Wesker out of the window, she would also stab him in the eye, leaving him with a prosthetic eye later on. At one point, Wesker was able to control Ouroboros with his mind. There was originally a tyrant in the game at one point, but it was removed because the developers felt that Wesker had the presence of one all on his own, plus the addition of Ouroboros would have been a little too much.
Number 7.
Axela. Much like Wesker, Axela went through a lot of changes as well. Tricell originally had a male CEO and Axela was just his secretary. Her appearance was changed to make her look more like a celebrity to match with the CEO position. Originally she wore a more modest business suit and had her hair down, and her business suit might have been repurposed for Sheva's alternate costume. In earlier drafts of the story, Axela would have captured Sheva and later been impaled by a tyrant and killed by Wesker's order.
Number 6.
Cut characters. Along with these changes were a few cut characters. Originally, Resident Evil 5 had a merchant named Marchant, who would function just like the merchant in Resident Evil 4. He was removed and replaced by the item management screen. The only picture of him is a placeholder of one of Chris's early models, except he's completely orange with a kanji on his shirt. I have a feeling he might have been the guy at the beginning who gives you your weapons, but that's just my guess. Another big one is that Barry was supposed to be in the game, and while you played solo as Chris, Jill and Barry would back you up at certain points in the game. Along with them as backup, Chris would have also had help from his BSAA team during the boss fight with El Gigante, and possibly others, but that was scrapped in favor of co-op with Sheva.
Number 5.
Movie reference. As always, there's a movie reference, and this time it involves the Desperate Escape scenario. In Desperate Escape, when Doug is killed by the missile, Jill says, "He was a brave soldier," and Josh says, "He was my friend."
I'm sorry, Josh. He was a brave soldier.
He was my friend.
These are the same lines from the movie Predator.
He was a good soldier.
He was, my friend.
Number 4.
Cut enemies. So originally Resident Evil 5 had zombies. Yep, the zombies were removed later in development, but you can see both walking and running zombies in the 2005 teaser trailer. In the rail yard level, a train full of zombies would have crashed in front of you, having them all spill out and run after you. The Ouroboros would have been a common enemy type, but it was changed to the big boss thing. As I mentioned earlier, there was also a tyrant in the game, but was removed. And lastly, there were sand zombies that would have come out of the ground, but they were scrapped along with the desert levels, which I will get to in a bit.
Number 3.
Jill. In Resident Evil 5, we finally saw the return of Jill Valentine. While a lot of people were content with her portrayal in this entry, she also went through a lot of changes. As shown at the end of the trailer, originally Jill would have been found in a capsule at Tricell and rescued by Chris. This was rejected to make Jill brainwashed to Wesker instead. Along with Barry being in the story, Jill was also originally going to meet up with him, and they would have helped Chris from behind the scenes. Also shown in the trailers is Jill's tombstone. Jill's death was originally planned to happen, however this would only happen if the player followed a certain path, which also implies that there were multiple endings. Originally her mind control device was going to be on her head, but this was changed to her chest, since they felt it would be more sexy to open her shirt up. Literally, it's written in the art book. In the first battle with Wesker, Chris would have been beaten almost to death, but rescued by Jill at the last second. It also looks like in the original storyboards, she joins Chris and Sheva in an aircraft, and together they fire missiles at Wesker to kill him.
Number 2.
Sheva. For the most part, even though she became a huge part of the game and contributed to its changes, Sheva for the most part wasn't changed too much. One interesting thing to note is that she is left-handed, which is why when you play as her, she is on the opposite side of the screen as Chris. Before being introduced as a playable character, she was originally just an NPC character who was a member of a local militia and assisted Chris throughout the story. In the original script, she was captured by Axela and had to be rescued by Chris. And lastly, the tattoo on her arm means hero in Swahili.
Number 1.
Resident Evil 4.5. And that brings us to the good stuff. What you all came here for. As you already know, unless you skipped to this part of the video, the game originally had zombies, was a single player game, and had a lot of stuff removed that fans would have probably loved. Well, that was just a taste of the full details. So first off, yes, the game was originally completely single player just like Resident Evil 4, and you would have played as Chris. Speaking from a development standpoint, I think this would have been a much better option, especially considering the number one complaint about the game is usually about Sheva. Originally, the T-virus was the main virus, ditching Las Plagas from Resident Evil 4, but it was later reintroduced, which also resulted in the public assembly level being remade 3 times. Kijuju originally had a night level that had a giant tower in the middle of it where you could climb to the top and see the whole area. Probably removed because this is not Assassin's Creed. At one point in the original story, Chris was going to get separated from Sheva by falling into a pit, only to land in a waste management facility for Umbrella, which would have been awesome. Because of the added co-op, a lot of levels had to be dumbed down in terms of things like traps and mechanics. Along with a scrapped desert level, there was a giant ship wreckage where you'd find the merchant. The main reason the desert levels were cut is that they were just too tedious to run through, and since there was no cover, the only way to get enemies to appear was from the sand. So it turns out there was a lot of changes to Resident Evil 5, but overall I guess it wasn't too bad. But what do you guys think about Resident Evil 5? If you like this video, then check out my other stuff and feel free to subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to check out the community tab where you can vote on future videos. I'm Kai Morgan, and as always, thanks for watching Ink Ribbon. And a very special thank you to the following Patreon supporters. Your support means so much to me. Thank you.